The Disaster Fiscal Recovery Playbook was developed to assist Michigan County road agencies before, during, and after natural disaster events to ensure they can apply for all available state and federal funding sources to recover from disaster events. These videos give an overview of the playbook and highlights the resources and actions that can be taken for 3 stages of a disaster: preparedness, response, and fiscal recovery. Response. The response section of the playbook offers recommendations for how local road agencies can assess and address the disaster situation while ensuring their actions maximize disaster recovery funds. Assessing the situation. Immediately following the disaster, the local road agency should begin identifying damaged assets and prioritizing emergency repairs. It's important to understand the definition of an emergency repair and keep detailed records of the location, extent, and cost of these immediate repairs. Emergency repairs are made during or right after a disaster to 1. Restore essential traffic, 2. Minimize the extent of damage, or 3. Protect remaining facilities. Repairs that go beyond these 3 objectives are considered permanent repairs. Emergency repairs are typically covered at 100% of the cost. The playbook contains checklists of actions to take in the first 8 hours to 7 days following an event. Communicate with key stakeholders and media. The local emergency management coordinator should be engaged immediately after a disaster occurs. This individual should work with the Michigan State Police District Coordinator to figure out who to call at MSP to get connected with financial funding subject matter experts. During this time, local and statewide elected officials should also be engaged and kept informed of the extent of the damage. It is also important to talk about the magnitude of the disaster on social media and traditional media in the area, particularly if you are in a far northern or rural area. Attention paid in the Michigan legislature is sometimes commensurate with what people are reading about in the media. Sourcing supplies for repairs can be challenging following a disaster. Actively communicate with supply vendors early and often to maximize the potential for obtaining needed supplies. Record keeping, documentation. Documentation is the most important factor in receiving reimbursement through federal funding programs. The best thing local agencies can do to shorten reimbursement timelines is to have all documentation pulled together and ready. Reimbursement for expenses requires documentation of timesheets and equipment hours, positive findings that procedures have been followed in a timely manner, and documentation of damage site inspection. Set up systems to organize and collect these documents beginning in the immediate aftermath of a disaster. Debris cleanup and costs should be carefully documented. Record the type of debris, who cleared it, how much there was, where it came from, and how and where it was disposed of. Each federal program has unique documentation, with FEMA often requiring the most detail. Begin filling out the required paperwork as soon as possible after a disaster. Procurement and financial management. Emergency procurement is vital in the aftermath of a disaster. It is often not possible to complete the necessary emergency and recovery repair work through a conventional bidding process. Emergency procurement can enable non-competitive procurement and/or suspend contract award limits. If not already in place, these procurement policies should be authorized by your board soon after a disaster. To assist in future reimbursement, general ledger codes or budget index codes should be created for each specific site impacted by the disaster. During reimbursement, federal agencies often require detailed accounting of labor expenses by site and/or project. Separate normal routine work and costs from the hazard-causing incident work and costs by initiating unique work cost codes at the beginning of the incident.